let's now transition to who we think the best fit value is at quarterback for the 49ers.
Sure. The best, shoot, I think you might have already hit it on it. Mon would be a really good fit for him at value, especially if they're able to get him in round 3 or 4 because of everything that they could do before they get to that pick. I would say outside of him, I'm going to say Trask because I think they can get Trask in the 2nd round, so they can use that early round pick, maybe even trade back, whatever they decide to do, but not use that 1st round pick on a quarterback. I think would help them out overall.
Okay. I agree. I wouldn't take the quarterback in round 1, but I also wouldn't take wide receivers in round 1 all the time. And I think I would basically make an exception for Devontae Smith. So as someone who is now a Mac Jones enthusiast, and I'm almost there too, let me just ask you, do you think if he's there at 12 and the Niners have a decision to make, would you take him? Would you trade down? What would you do?
If Devontae Smith was there at 12?
No, if Mac Jones were there at 12.
Yeah, if Mac Jones was there at 12, I would take him.
Okay. Fair enough. You like him. He's a good quarterback. Take him. And look, I'm not as into Mac Jones as you are, but the Niners have shown the kind of success they can have with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's like a cheaper, better, younger Jimmy Garoppolo. All you got to do is help the offensive line a little bit, and I can definitely see the Niners having success with Mac Jones. Him, Trask, Mond, I think all 3 of them could do very well on the 49ers. I mean, maybe even Wilson Fields and Lance as well. It's as long as they can patch together that offensive line a little bit, it's kind of the ideal situation for a quarterback. So be interesting to see what the Niners get. Maybe a little stick with Josh Rosen, and he'll be the first Jewish guy since Sandy Koufax. I don't know.
Yeah, you made a really good comment. With regards to these quarterbacks, with the Nick Saban connection to the Patriots. There's definitely a lot of connection between Belichick and Saban. They coach together and work together quite a bit, and I think that plays a lot of the way into the reason why Miami took Tua last year.
No question.
Saban guy, Belichick guy. And so that's part of why if you're looking at the 49ers at 12, you don't want to trade back because you got the Patriots sitting right behind them. So that's why you'd have to take, if you want to get Jones and that's your guy, you've got to take him there. You can't trade back unless you go to maybe 13, but then you're even running the risk.
And again, the appeal there is like the appeal with Dak Prescott in 2016. If you like him, you can maybe get him on day 3, perhaps, maybe late day 2. So, but you really got to have some conviction and feel like you can create something that you're not seeing on film, because again, his highlights aren't that exciting. He doesn't have playmakers. They're just not. He executes. He has upside, but it's a fairly blah highlight reel. It's the way it is. It's Texas A&M. So
yeah.
Jack, this was a lot of fun. Thank you. So we did it an hour. That was great.
Yeah, we got some questions. I don't know if you wanted to.
Do we? I haven't actually been looking at the comment. All right, hold on. Let's get the questions in.
Or if there was
Nathan Eagle said Desmond Ridder over whatever his name is. He's not entering this year, so we haven't looked at him. We'll look at him next year. Let the guy go back to school. 49ers First Take says, I feel if the Niners go quarterback round 2-3, then I feel. Oh wait, hold on. Let me try to read. Reading is hard. I feel if the Niners go quarterback round 2-3, then I'd trade back at 12 and pick up multiple picks. Yeah, that could work.
Yeah, because you can see that you know that can happen because they did it last year where I think they were at where were they last year? Weren't they at 12 and they traded back last year as well, or 13?
They were at 13 and went to 14. Yes.
Yeah, so you know that they can. There's a possibility that they could trade back a little bit, and then pick up another second rounder that they can use to even jump back up at the end of the first round. If one of these quarterbacks was sitting there, let's say Jones falls to the end of the first round, they could always pick him up there too. Yeah. So I like that.
Yes, I like that too. I'm like all in with my shoot the moon draft strategy of trading Bosa to the Jets. I don't know if the Jets would go for that, but I would go for it. Real quick, do you think Robert Saleh would go for that, or is Nick Bosa's injury history, would that scare off teams the way it's scaring off me?
No, I think Bosa. I think that he'd be interested. I think the number 2 pick is going to be a little too rich for them, coming off of the injuries. Maybe if you're looking.
What about Miami number 3? I mean, they drafted his dad. Come on, give me that pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'd just call, but I see what you're saying. I mean, look at Buckner. He was the 7th pick in the draft. He had 3 great years, and the best the Niners could get was the 13th pick. It's kind of like driving a car, right? They lose a little bit of value when you take them off the lot.
Yeah, and I think that's true, but it's just with Bosa, the knee injury and his history. And I think with the Jets, they're really going to want to hold on to 2. If they're going to make a move, it's going to be with, I think it's the 22nd pick.
Yeah, it's not enough for Bosa.
Yeah, no.
Well, I'll call Salah and see what I can arrange. See if we can make this happen.
There you go.
Jack, what's on the? Are we done with quarterbacks now? What do we want to do next? Are we going to move to NFL quarterbacks? What's the plan?
Well, we had talked a little bit about doing some free agent stuff. There's a lot of talk around Sam Darnold to the Niners, and so that'd be one thing to look at with some Darnold film. Because if you're looking at Darnold film, you really want to go back to see what he did in 2019, I think, because he had a better team around him in 2019 than he did in 2020 and in 2018. So we might want to take a look at Sam Darnold against Pittsburgh and compare him to Jimmy Garoppolo in 2019 against Pittsburgh. That might be a fun one to do.
And I think eventually we should start looking at these offensive tackles in the NFL draft. Sewell, Slater. I think people would like to see that as well, because I think there's a big section of the Niners fan base that says,
yes,
the next quarterback is going to be set up for failure. Hold on. Do you guys think Mac Jones could surprise people the way Herbert did last year? I don't think there's that much. There's really nothing in common between Justin Herbert and Mac Jones. Justin Herbert is a toolsy big guy who went to a bad school. Mac Jones isn't the most toolsy guy. He's a refined quarterback who went to a good school. I think they're different. I think if there's going to be the Justin Herbert, like, oh my God, we didn't see it, it's Mond. Because Herbert was the Senior Bowl MVP the way Mond was. Herbert was a little bit underrated. I'm not saying Mond's going to be as good as Justin Herbert, because Herbert's a stud. But no, I think Mac Jones is kind of on a different spectrum, a different style. Do you see any similarities between them?
Well, I don't see any similarities between the two players as to their styles. I think with his question though, I think that I think that Jones could surprise people, because I think people are so down on him because they're not really looking very closely at what he does.
Fair. Right, because last year everyone thought it was like it's Burrow and Tua. That's it. And it was like all of a sudden this guy fell to third, and actually he's the best. Maybe Jones could be the guy who falls to third and outperforms Lawrence and whoever goes number 2, Fields, Wilson. I wouldn't be surprised if Jones has a better career than Zach Wilson. Even though Zach Wilson's a better athlete, that doesn't mean he's a better quarterback. Doesn't.
No, and you're correct. And when you watch him, we just talked about it with these guys. You got to go back and watch what he in 2019, what he was doing. I know he's playing up in some of those games but go back and watch him play against, say, Hawaii in that Hawaii Bowl. That's the one I keep going back to, because that's a pretty even level of competition for him. That's not that's
Hawaii.
That's not like them playing against
Hawaii.
Utah or USC or whatever. And you see him with a lot of bodies around him, and he just looks shell-shocked.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, whenever we bring up on Twitter 2019 Zach Wilson, there's like 10 people from Provo, Utah. It's like, oh, you can't say that. He was coming off a shoulder surgery in 2019, and then he went to Tom House and totally remade everything. It was like, okay, so you're telling me he's a one-year 2020 wonder? That's what the whole thing is based on 2020, when he faced a bunch of nobodies in Coastal Carolina who gave him trouble. Zach Wilson scares me. I compared him to Johnny Manziel. I don't think he has substance abuse issues like Johnny Manziel allegedly did, but he's as rich or richer than Johnny Manziel was. He has the same exact playing style as Johnny Manziel. I saw Johnny Manziel in person. He beat the Niners in Cleveland and looked like a good athlete, but maybe Zach Wilson will have some moments. I think they're quite similar.
Yeah, I don't, when it comes to Wilson, the fans get so excited about Wilson because they just see all these spectacular plays and they see all that kind of stuff, and they're not seeing the little things that he's missing. He just racks up yards with short throws and really designed plays. Every once in a while he's making a nice throw down the field, but a lot of times I'm going to sit back here, I watch him throw the ball. He looks like, a lot of times he's throwing those deep balls. It looks like he's throwing a javelin.
Yes.
Because he's getting so much of his body into it before he throws that ball down the field. When you watch
he gets like an 8. He gets like the whole running start. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes. Yeah. It's like he's throwing a javelin. Agreed.
Yep. And that's not even a negative when you say that, because javelin, there's a lot of similarities, believe it or not, between throwing a javelin and throwing a football. So that's not meant to really slam him, but just it's more pointing out the running start that he's getting on his throws. Yeah,
I mean, I ranked Zach Wilson over Justin Fields, but I keep going back. I feel like they're so close to me. Fields has a stronger arm, no question. Wilson might have a little bit more, more arm slots. Hard to say. They're pretty similar.
Yeah, he does. Wilson throws up from all different angles more than you see Fields. Fields is more of he almost always throws it from the same kind of position,
which kind of makes him look like a little bit more like Cam Newton. That boom, that power stroke. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely like Fields over Wilson. He's definitely
That's fair. I could see that. I could see that. I mean, if they're both athletes, Fields a better athlete.